recently Sephora just sent out their email talking about the holiday special edition palettes, and a couple months back when Sephora was Snapchatting the event of the holiday release party, I saw a Snapchat of what looked like the ambient lighting powder palette, the ambient lighting palette from Hourglass, but it was 6 shades instead of 3. So I was waiting to see what was going to be in that palette. And so when I finally got the email from Sephora that it was available, I quickly went and purchased it, and this is what it is. It is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit palette. And so today I'm just going to kind of show you swatches, tell you what I think about it, show you how it compares to the ambient lighting palette and then the individual blushes. So when you open it up, the palette's this size, so it's about as big as your hand, and you get 6 shades. You get 2 blushes, 2 setting powders, a bronzer, and a highlighter. You get dim light and diffused light for the ambient lighting powders, and then you get iridescent light, which is new and I believe exclusive to this palette, and it's the highlight shade, and then you get mood exposure and luminous flush for the ambient lighting blushes. And then you get luminous bronze light for the ambient lighting bronzer. I have never tried the bronzers before, and I really wanted to, but I couldn't justify $55 on a bronzer, so I was really excited that I'd get to try it in this palette. I was also really excited because I've got 3 Hourglass blushes, and I didn't duplicate with this palette, so these are 2 new blushes. And then the only thing I think I duplicated was the dim light, and that's because I also have the Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette, and that's also in here. So you open it up, and here are your shades. Here's your highlight, and then your 2 setting powders, and then your bronzer, and then the 2 blushes. So I guess we'll start with size comparison. Like I said, I've got the Ambient Lighting palette, and I was expecting it to be this size, but just 6 instead of 3, and as you can see, it is not. This is much smaller, and this retails for $80. I think this retails for $60 or $65. I'm not sure. I got this one as a Christmas present. But yeah, so as you can see, they're definitely not the same size. You don't get quite as much product. And then as far as it compares to just a single one of their single powders, you can tell it's almost about a quarter, maybe a third of the size of this. And these retail for $45. So the colors are very pretty. When you swatch the bronzer, I was very surprised at how glittery it looks. Like you hardly get any payoff as far as bronze, but the shimmer in it is real. And when you put it on your hand, it kind of looks, I don't want to say glittery because none of their products are glittery, but it does. But I've got it on today, and as you can see, it gives you a nice bronzed color and a nice glow without making you look muddy or like you've just streaked glitter on your face. And then the 2 blushes are also really, really pretty. So on the right, let's see, we've got, okay, so this one is Mood Exposure. I don't really know how well you can see that. That one is Mood Exposure, and then the one next to it, that is Mood Exposure, that is Luminous Flush, and then up here is the bronzer. So then you also get 2 setting powders. You get Dim Light and Diffused Light. Yeah. You can see those. That's dim light and that's diffused light. And then the highlighter that's exclusive to this palette is actually really, really pretty. I'm going to show you close up. In the pan, it kind of looks glittery. Like, when I first opened this, I was really worried that this was just going to be straight glitter on my face and that I was going to hate it. But it's actually not. I'll swatch it for you. So this right here is iridescent light, and that is the shimmer color. See how pretty that is? And I wore this all day today, and I will say that I feel like I have a lot of bronzers and I have a lot of highlighters. This bronzer, I don't have anything like this. I'm really glad I got the palette, if alone, for just the bronzer, mood exposure, dim light, and then the iridescent light highlighter. The highlighter is gorgeous, and as you can see on my cheeks, it really just makes you look, I don't want to say wet, because I don't think anybody wants to look wet, but it really just makes you look dewy and that your skin is very healthy and moisturized. And so I really, really like this. And like I said earlier, this palette retails for $80. I will say, if you've got individual products from Hourglass, I don't know if I would recommend buying this, just because it is $80 and the colors aren't that big. The one downside is that the blush, the highlighter, and the setting powders, I feel like most brushes are that size, but my bronzing brushes, I'm dipping into all three of these surrounding colors whenever I'm trying to just get the bronzing color. So that part isn't ideal, but you can make it work. Like I said, I've got 3 of the separate blushes, and so I was glad I got to try 2 more, but had I already owned any of the blushes that were in this palette, I don't think I would have purchased it, just because I also own the ambient lighting palette, and if I really wanted to try the bronzer, I would have just ordered the bronzer and paid the $50 rather than paying $80 for this whole palette. So when I first opened this, I was kind of hesitant, and I immediately thought it was going to go back because I was very disappointed in the size. I expected it to be much bigger for $80. But after I've used it, I really, really love this. I love the blush. I love that they give you a deeper color for fall, and then they also give you a lighter pink for spring. You get 2 of the most popular setting powders in here, a brand new highlighter, and of course the new bronzer. So if you don't own any other Hourglass products, I would highly recommend this. If you do, maybe think about what it is you own and how similar they are to what's in this palette. Otherwise, I think you might kind of be wasting your money. Don't get me wrong. I love this. I'm keeping it, and I'm glad I got it. But if I owned the bronzer already, I don't think I would have purchased this palette. So, yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know if you've tried this palette yet, or if you've got your eye on any other of the holiday palettes that are coming out, because I'd love to hear from you. Bye!